Picture this. It's January 1982. You open your kitchen cupboard and count the tins, beans, soup, condensed milk. Again. Your mum's been rationing for 3 weeks now because the roads are blocked, the shops are empty, and nobody knows when the next delivery will make it through 6-meter snowdrifts. Welcome to the coldest winter Britain had seen in nearly 2 decades. 7 weeks when the country didn't just freeze, it starved. Well, almost. This is the story of what British families actually ate to survive when the thermometer hit minus 27 degrees Celsius, when villages were cut off for weeks, and when your dinner depended on what you'd stockpiled before the snow buried everything. When the shops went empty, it started in early December 1981. The weather had been mild, people were walking around in light coats, nobody saw it coming. Then on December 7th, Arctic air swept down from Scandinavia. By the 8th, southern England was buried under 15 centimeters of snow. Roads became ice rinks, airports shut, and critically, delivery lorries stopped moving. Your mum, if she was smart, had already started stockpiling, because by December 10th, the queues outside bakeries stretched down the street. People waited an hour just for a loaf of bread, an hour in minus 18-degree cold just for bread. Inside the shops, the shelves emptied faster than they could be restocked. Sugar disappeared first, then butter. Shopkeepers started rationing, serving only their regulars, keeping emergency supplies hidden under the counter for elderly customers who couldn't queue in the cold. If you lived in a village that got cut off, and hundreds did, you survived on whatever you'd stored. Some families went 2 weeks without fresh milk. 2 weeks of putting condensed milk in their tea, that thick, sweet, tinned stuff that tasted nothing like real milk but became the taste of winter. 1982. The cupboard inventory. Let me tell you what a typical family's emergency cupboard looked like by mid-December. Tins, endless tins, baked beans, because they were cheap and filling. Tinned tomatoes, tinned soup, oxtail, vegetable, chicken, corned beef, spam if you could afford it. Tinned peaches and pears for the kids, a treat that felt less like a treat by week 3. Dried goods, pasta, rice, porridge oats. These were gold. They lasted forever, filled you up, and didn't need refrigeration, which was good, because when the power went out, your fridge became just another cold cupboard. Powdered milk. Every household had it. It tasted awful, like chalk mixed with water, but when fresh milk was frozen solid on the doorstep or simply not arriving at all, you learned to tolerate it. Tea. Endless tea, because no matter how cold it got, no matter how empty the cupboard became, the British solution was always the same: put the kettle on. And then there was the coal, not for eating obviously, but your dad kept checking the coal supply like it was the food cupboard, because without fire, nothing else mattered. You couldn't boil water, couldn't heat tins, couldn't survive. What breakfast looked like. Morning in January 1982 started the same way in thousands of homes across Britain. You'd wake up in a bedroom so cold your breath formed clouds. Ice on the inside of the windows, thick ice you couldn't scrape away. Getting out of bed meant preparing yourself mentally, then moving fast. Dash downstairs to the one room with heat, usually the living room, with the coal fire, and hope your mum had already got the kettle going. Breakfast was porridge, always porridge. Made with water if the milk had run out, which it often did. No honey, no sugar if you'd run through your ration. Just hot, thick, grey porridge that warmed you from the inside and kept you full until lunch. If you were lucky, there might be toast, but bread was precious. Bakeries couldn't keep up with demand when their delivery trucks couldn't get through, so toast was cut thin, rationed carefully, and spread with margarine so thin you could see through it. Butter! That was Christmas. That was special occasions. That was gone by December 20th. The milkman still tried to deliver. God bless him, he tried. But when he did manage to get through, you'd find bottles on the doorstep, frozen solid, the cream pushed up through the foil cap like white ice cream. You'd bring them in, let them thaw slowly by the fire, and hope they hadn't burst. Sometimes they had. Lunch and dinner, the tin rotation. By mid-January, family meals had become a rotation of whatever tins were left. Monday, beans on toast. Tuesday, tomato soup with bread if there was any. Wednesday, corned beef hash, fried up with whatever vegetables hadn't frozen in the unheated pantry. Your mum became an expert at stretching meals. 1 tin of beans, meant to serve 2, suddenly served 4 when mixed with extra potatoes. Soup got watered down, made to last an extra day. Nothing was wasted, not a single crumb. In Welsh villages cut off for days after the massive blizzard on January 7th, people lived on even less. Some families rationed themselves to 1 proper meal a day. The rest was bread and tea. Bread and tea for days. The army arrived eventually, delivering emergency supplies by helicopter. Can you imagine? Standing in your village square watching a military helicopter drop bags of bread and milk from the sky because that's the only way it could reach you. People collected their share and thanked God for it, because without those deliveries, some villages would have genuinely starved. When the power died, here's what nobody tells you about the cold winter of 1982. It wasn't just about not having food. It was about not being able to cook what you had. Over 250,000 homes lost electricity during December. Sometimes for hours, sometimes for days. When the power went, your electric cooker became useless, your electric kettle dead weight. Families with coal fires could manage. You could heat tins directly on the coals, balance a kettle over the flames, make do. But families in newer homes with electric heating and electric cookers, they were in trouble. Cold food became normal. Beans straight from the tin. Bread untoasted. Milk, if you had it, drunk at whatever temperature it naturally was, usually ice cold because the house itself was below freezing. Some people got creative. In Swansea, neighbours with working coal fires became community kitchens. You'd bring your tin of soup round to Mrs. Jenkins at number 14. She'd heat it on her fire and you'd take it home in a covered pot, running fast before it cooled down again. In Hopton, when the village was cut off for days, people burned furniture to keep fires going, not just for heat, for cooking, old chairs, broken shelves, anything that would burn so you could boil water and heat food. The taste of making do. Let me tell you what food actually tasted like in January 1982. Condensed milk in tea, sweet, cloying, wrong. But it was hot, and it was liquid, and after hours in the cold, that mattered more than taste. Porridge made with water, thick and gluey like paste, but it stayed in your stomach, kept you warm. Tinned peaches, the syrup frozen solid when you opened them, needing to be thawed by the fire before you could eat them. The kids would gather around, watching them melt, waiting. Spam, pink, salty, gelatinous. Fried if you could, cold if you couldn't. Either way, protein. Either way, survival. Powdered potato, just add water, they said. What they didn't tell you was it tasted like paper mache, had the texture of wallpaper paste, and no amount of margarine could save it. But when fresh potatoes were frozen solid in the ground, farmers couldn't harvest them, and shops couldn't stock them. You ate powdered potato and called yourself lucky. And bread. Oh, the bread. When the bakeries finally reopened after roads were cleared, people actually cheered. Fresh bread, still warm after weeks of stale, rationed loaves or no bread at all. It tasted like victory. The community kitchen. But here's what saved Britain during those 7 weeks. People shared. When your neighbour ran out of milk, you gave them yours. When the elderly couple down the street couldn't get to the shops, you picked up extra for them. When someone had no way to cook, someone else invited them in. Churches and community centres became gathering places, not just for warmth, but for food. People brought what they had, a tin of beans, some bread, a packet of tea, and pooled it together. You'd sit with strangers, sharing soup made from whatever everyone had contributed, and somehow it tasted better than anything you'd had at home. In Swansea, the local radio station coordinated food deliveries. Farmers with four-wheel drives became heroes, delivering bread and milk to cut-off villages. Someone would broadcast, "Mrs. Jones in Gorsinon needs bread and baby milk." And someone would respond, "I'm 10 minutes away, I'll take it." This was Britain in 1982, cold, hungry, struggling, but not beaten. When it finally ended, by mid-January, warmer air crept in from the west. Snow began melting, roads reopened. And slowly, carefully, delivery trucks started moving again. The first fresh milk delivery after weeks of tinned and powdered felt like a miracle. Fresh bread that wasn't rationed, vegetables that weren't from a tin. Sugar on the shop shelves again. People didn't rush, didn't panic buy. They'd learned to make do with less, and that lesson stayed with them. The big snow of 1982 wasn't just about record cold. It was about discovering what you could live without and what you absolutely couldn't. Community, kindness, and a hot cup of tea, even if it was made with condensed milk. If you lived through it, you remember not just the cold, but the taste of survival. The meals that kept you going, the neighbours who shared when they had nothing to spare. That's what Britain ate in 1982. And that's how Britain survived.